Okay, welcome back to another video in my series where I show you how to make a Discord bot. In this episode, we're going to be moving a bit away from commands and starting on a bit more advanced Discord.js. We're going to be starting using databases or a database. And what a database is basically a place where you store information. For example, for a warn system, you want the bot to remember how many warns certain users has, and you want that bot to remember it when the bot goes offline and online again. And the way we do that is we store the information in a database. Now, the database we're going to be using for today's episode is Mongodb. Mongodb is actually a database that a lot of Discord bots use, as it's like a really simple database to learn compared to like SQL and stuff. So yeah, just go over to mongodb.com. I've linked that in the description. Hit sign in if you already have an account, or try free. Of course, I have signed in, but I already have signed in, so I'm over here now on the dashboard. Just make an account, navigate over to the clusters, and you're going to be building a cluster. What a cluster is basically just the place where all the databases goes, because you have one database for like each little document thingy. For example, a warn system has its own database, and let's say if you want to store a log channel in the database, you'll also have a custom database for that, but all of those is stored in a cluster. So we're going to be building a cluster, so hit build a cluster. Then if you have the paid version, you can do that, but of course we don't, so we're going to be hitting the free version, create a cluster. Now you can like choose which one you want, like the host or provider, cloud provider. I'm just going to be staying with the Amazon one, but you can of course choose Azure, Microsoft, or Google Cloud. Now you can choose the location. Could be smart to pick a location closest to the host you're using if you're using a custom host, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so you can like go through here and change to the paid version if you want to, but we're just going to be hitting create cluster. Now this is going to be taking like up to 1 minute all the way up to 3 minutes, so yeah, I'll just be waiting here until it's done and I'll come back to you. Okay, yeah, so now we have created the database or the cluster, and we're going to be connecting to it soon, but I just want to like go through some basic stuff. So when we have connected and done stuff on the database, these graphs will be changed, but at the moment we haven't done anything, so they are pretty empty. You can also see we have 512 megabytes of disk space. You would think that's pretty small compared to like Rainbow Six Siege, a game which takes up like 200 gigabytes. But for storing JSON, as we're going to be storing 512 megabytes, is more than enough. So now we're going to be starting connecting to the what's it called, the database itself, or the cluster. So the way we do that is we click connect. Now you're gonna be taken to a kind of different page, I believe, where you would need to fill out like password and stuff for your user, and you would need to fill out a username and a IP address. On that IP address, I can't really show you that because it's gonna display my current IP address, but just choose allow connection from anywhere when you get asked which IP address you want to allow, and that's basically just a lot of zeros. When it comes to the password and username, the username is it's okay if it's public, so it doesn't really matter what that is, but the password, try to make it like a bit hard to like predict. But yeah, the way we're going to be connecting is hit connect your application. Now you're going to get this string right here. we're just gonna be leaving that there for the moment, but what I want to do is for us to let me take up my command or the CMD. We need to install a npm library that allows us to connect from our code to MongoDB. So just cd into your code. You can also use the terminal in the Visual Studio Code, but just type this command in, npm I, and then mongoose. That's the library we're going to be using to connecting to the cluster. Hit enter, of course. It's going to be installing. Just give it a few moments. And when this is done, in a while here, we're going to be, there we go. Now we have installed that, so we can open our code real quick. Now we can require that at the top. So here we go. Oh, so const what's it called? Yeah, mongoose is equal to require mongoose. Make sure the mongoose is in a string. Then we're going to be typing out a method that connects to the what's it called? Yeah, the cluster. So go some lines down, mongoose.connect. That's a method, so some brackets there. Then we want to put a string, and now we want to get the what's it called? Yeah, the string from our cluster. Go into your code, and there we go. Now we need to change some stuff here. So right here it says tutorial for me. That's my username, or the name of the user I have added to my cluster. Now the password, you want to change from the less than bracket to the greater than brackets, and the password string in between there. Delete that. So after the colon here, you want to type out your password. I do believe my password is 1234. And then you want to go over to my first database. So after the slash here, and completely remove that. Now we want to type out what we want our like database to be called. So we just want to call this for data. Simple enough. Now we can put a comma after this string, still inside the brackets. Then put some squiggly brackets, as I call them, or just braces, which is the correct name. Then open that up, and we want to put out some Json settings. So we want to make sure use find and modify is false. Then put a comma for the next line. Then use URL parser, we want to be true. And then I believe it's use unified topology is also going to be true. There we go. Now don't put a comma here as it's JSON. Or yeah, you could put a comma there actually. But you really shouldn't as it's JSON. And in JSON you shouldn't put a comma at the bottom here, but you could in this type of JSON. Then we want to just put out a .then statement, so we can console log when we have connected to the database or the cluster. So .then after the whole method, or after the braces here on line 12 for me. Then put some more braces, and then space, and then we want to make a arrow function. So there we go. Then we could also open it up like this, but I'm just going to be spelling it out on the same line. Console.log connected to MongoDB. Now we can try to, there we go. Now we can try to run the code, so node space dot, but it's online and connected to MongoDB. Great. So yeah, that's pretty simple. We're going to be getting into some basic MongoDB after this. I believe I'm going to be trying to make a command of some sort, maybe a AFK command or something. We'll see. But yeah, so I'll see you soon. If you have any, if you have issues with the connection or anything when it comes to like changing the IP, or just join my Discord and I'll help you, and we'll be getting on with this soon enough. So I'll see you soon. Okay, so now we have connected to the cluster successfully. I just changed the connection string to a variable in my config.json, so you guys can't see it because I changed my password because you should keep your password secret. But anyways, now we're going to be getting on to just saving some basic information to our database. So for that we need to make something called a schema. So make a new folder in our file directory, not in the commands folder but outside. We can call that for models or schemas, up to you. You can call it whatever you want really, but I'm just going to be calling it for models. Now make a new file inside that and call it for tutorial schema.js. You can call that also whatever you want, but I'm going to be calling it tutorial schema. Now require mongoose, so const mongoose is equal to require, put a string and then mongoose. There we go. Now we need to make the basically template. So what a schema is basically just a template for like showing mongoose how to save the data to the database. So make a variable, so let's say just schema is equal to new mongoose.schema with a uppercase S, put some brackets and then some braces or squiggly brackets, open that up. Now we need to put a value, basically a JSON value, so message, then a colon, and this is basically what the value is called, and that's going to be equal to a object. And the object needs to basically contain some information. So the type of the value, so what message is going to be like equal to. So we can put, for example, a number that's going to be changed over to an integer, a float, or whatever you put in, as long as it's a number. If you put in, for example, a string and the type is a number, it's going to give you an error. Now we can also put in a boolean, that's a false or true value. So if you try to put in a string there, it's also going to give you an error, or a number, it's going to give you error. But for this video, we're going to be having it as a string. Now put a comma and then a new line. On the new line, we're going to be putting in if it's required or not. So if it's required as we want it to be, if it's not required and we don't input it when we try to save it, it's not going to give us an error. If we do have it required and we do not input the message object when we try to save it to the database, it's going to give us an error because message is required for it to be saved. Now let's export it. So module.export is equal to mongoose.model, some brackets. Then we want to put in the name of the schema, or the database. So for that we're going to be putting in tutorial. Now since MongoDB expects multiple objects, so for example if we had messages, it would be normal to have an S on the end, as it's going to be saving multiple messages. But for this video I want it to be called tutorial, not tutorials. So the way we do that is we first do a comma, then input the constant we put up here. Then after that we put another comma and the name again, so tutorial. That's basically just going to tell MongoDB that we want the tutorial without the S. Now we can go over to commands and we want to make a save.js. Let me just get there we go. Then the save. change the name to save, and then saves a value to the database. There we go. So let's say if we have no arguments, as we do want, we're just going to be returning a message.reply. Please input a string. Then we need to make a content variable, so content is equal to args.join, and join the arguments with a space. So that's just gonna be, so let me just do this. So if we join it like this, it's, let's say we input a message that's gonna be hello there. If we join it with no space, it's gonna be sent like this. If we put a space here, it's gonna be saved like this. So that's basically just a thing you need to remember. Now we need to go up here. Then we need to require the schema, or the DB for database is equal to require dot slash. We need to go outside the folder and then into the models folder and then into the tutorial schema. Of course, you want the models folder to be the name of your folder and the tutorial schema to be the name of your JS file. Now we need to make a new data constant, so new data is equal to new db for the variable we declared up there. Put some brackets and some braces or squiggly braces. Then open that up, and in the tutorial schema we put a message value. It's required, so we need to input that. So the message is going to be content, not continue, but content, as the variable we declared up there. Now, since we don't have any more values to input, we can leave it like that. If we had more, we need to put a comma and then the new one, so test and then the value, of course. Just remember to always put a comma there. If not, it's not going to work. Now we need to save it, so new data.save, put some brackets. Then we can put a .then statement, return message.reply. Oh yeah, we can actually put it like this. So saved the message, or no, let's saved like that, a plus, then content to the database. There we go. So that's basically it. Let's go into the index and yep. So let's run the or actually let's do this. So else if it's equal to save, we want to run save. It's all looking okay. Let's pull up the terminal. Node space dot. No errors, that's great. Let's go into Discord. Full screen, chat, or actually tutorial. There we go. Now let's save. Hey, this is a test. We got an error. Content is not defined on line 14. Content. Okay, that's weird. Let's just put it like this then. Saved the message content Oh no, I see what's wrong. We just spelled content really wrong. We spelled it like content. Well, it's okay. Yeah, let's just go out of that and then node space dot again. Now we should have it worked, so let's just put it like this. Saved, hey, this is a test to the database. Or we could probably, let's put in some like that and like that to make it look even better. Control set, no, yeah, and then not bold but node space dot. There we go. Now if we do, so let's say save checking the update. There we go. Now we have wrapped it in some what I don't really remember what it's called, but we wrapped them in this. Now let's go over to our database. We can go into collections, and hopefully, yep, we see tutorial, and we see three documents. As the first one we tried to save did save, it just didn't give us a confirm message, and the two other did. So two, hey, this is a test, and then one checking the update. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna be getting into some basic commands, like a warn command and maybe a AFK command to like notify people if they mention a person that is AFK. So yeah, just I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions or any issues, just join my Discord in the description, and yeah, I'll see you soon.